how many seasons of Friends could Andor have bought with $600 million?
Well, that would have been the final season, and there wasn't a lot of overhead. There was just payment for the stars, and they were making a bunch per episode. I'll say that.
Look, this is the thing, like I said earlier, this is the thing that upsets me the most. When I listen to the calls, and I mentioned this when we were on the call with Comcast, the earnings call this past week, when you've got this, the exact same people, the same Ben Swinburnes and the same Morgan Stanley people and the same Moffett-Nathanson, Goldman Sachs, Barclays will call in there all the time. You get the same analysts that cover the calls that are on there for the Q&A at Comcast and Paramount and Warner Brothers as they are Disney. It's the same people. But the questions that get asked on some of these things, like Comcast last year or 6 months ago, when they, you had 2 or 3 questions of so much concern about the $150 million that Universal Studios was going to spend to market the opening of Epic Universe. And there was concern, there was consternation during the Q&A session of that earnings call because of $150 million that they were going to spend. I'm like, Disney wastes that every movie they make on half the production costs, and they lose money, and y'all don't ask these stupid questions. So my goal is, this time, please, for the love of God, the people out there that cover the calls for the major institutional investors for Disney, please ask actual relevant questions. Please ask about the expense of Andor. This is out there in Forbes magazine. It's a public filing in the UK by Disney, and they're dragging in one of the most crappy little streaming audiences possible. Again, that chart that we showed earlier is just streaming originals, like Pro said. It's not everything on streaming. It's just the originals. It's cherry-picked. Wait, how many originals could be coming out in this past week? Andor should be the biggest thing. It is a Star Wars show, and it's not even showing up. And none of you guys out there ever ask about these massive box office failures, like the Snow Whites, like the Captain Falcon DEI, and now this hot turd called Andor. I don't care if it's critically acclaimed and people like it. That doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter to begin with. From a business standpoint, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have an audience to justify this. And no, you can't compare it to things like Amazon, for example, when they spend $1 billion on Rings of Power, and it doesn't get that hot of an audience, although it's got a bigger audience than Andor because it's Amazon, and they're a $2 trillion company. Disney is like a $180 billion company now because it keeps sucking. But y'all want to ask about that. Anyway, have fun trying to figure out what's going on with the theme parks on that earnings call.
And then they wonder, Valiant, why people are tuning in to Valiant Renegade instead of tuning into their legacy media outlets and all those channels. It's like, well, because if we could get in there, we'd ask the real questions. But since we can't, we'll talk about it and we'll ask the real questions rhetorically until one of you losers manage to have the gutsos to get in there and say, hey, this seems nuts, Bob. What's going on, Bob?
Yeah, it doesn't really work too well.
And when you ask Bob a real question, his answer is often something like, why is Disney World attendance down? It's hot. Yeah. It's hot, aren't it?
How come, and again, same people, because I hear their questions get read aloud on the air. How come that, the questions can get submitted online, in that case to Netflix? We get live cameras, right, in Ted Sarandos's face and all the other guys answering the questions live on a YouTube live show for Netflix every quarter. And supposedly the greatest and biggest entertainment movie and television making company in the world, we get a $50 speakerphone and that's it.
Yeah, and the sound of ambulances driving by. It's like, what are you in a back alley somewhere?
And then at the annual shareholder meeting, we can't even get actual shareholders to call in anymore because Bob Iger got offended one time. Disney is just a bunch of I'm sorry. That's just all it boils down to. And y'all let him get away with it. You people on Wall Street let him get away with it, and it makes me so angry.
Next up, investor number 275 with a question for Bob that's pre-recorded. Hello, Bob. Why are you so great?
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.